So now let me show you how to make the deep dish pumpkin meringue pie. You need your basic pie crust. This is the perfect pie crust, the one that we've been making for years and years and years. 2½ cups of flour, 2 sticks of unsalted butter, a teaspoon of salt. It's all on the web at marthastewart.com, and it's on our iPad version, and it's in the magazine. But this is, if it's well made and you make it cold, a little bit of water, like 1/4 cup of water. If you make it cold and don't cut the butter in too fine, you will have this very flaky, beautiful crust. And use some bench flour, flour your rolling pin. And I tend to use the French rolling pin with, my mother always used her old-fashioned ball bearing type one. How many of you use this kind? And more of you have the handles on it, yes. But then you have to go to the gym. See, if you do this one, you don't have to go to the gym. You have to use some elbow grease. So, but see how beautifully this rolls out? And you know, people constantly say, "Oh, I can't make the pie crust." You can make the pie crust. It's not so hard. Practice, and especially before Halloween, before Thanksgiving, you should be mastering your pie crust making skills, because and you can freeze these rolled out like that. Just freeze them really well wrapped, and thaw them in the wrapper when you're right before you have to use it, and you have fantastic pie crust. So there, this is all rolled out, no tears, no cracks. That is a well-made pie crust. Now here's another little tip: just roll it up on your rolling pin like this, so you can pick it up and lay it down in your deep dish. We're using this beautiful whiteware dish. I love this. And form it nicely. Move it around so it really fits. You can trim the edges, and I don't have anything to trim it with, darn. But you turn it under and then flute with your finger like that all the way around and make a nice ruffled edge. Here it is. Chill it. Make sure you chill it really well for at least 30 minutes. Then cut around the parchment. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Very important to bake this hot. Cut the parchment about 1 inch or so bigger than the crust itself. And I'm using old lentils. I have jars of old lentils, old black beans, old black-eyed peas. You can buy the metal pie weights, but I find that just using old beans that have been sitting in the cupboard for a long time, you can use them for years and years and years. Just don't try to cook them. And make sure you write on it pie weights. Now put this right into the hot oven, bake for about 20 minutes. Remove the whole parchment, it comes right out, and continue to bake for, this keeps the crust from bubbling. This blind bake, call this blind baking, and then cook until the crust is a nice golden brown. We need to make our spiced pumpkin filling and top with a luscious meringue. So you need 15 ounces of pure pumpkin puree and 3 whole eggs, and mix those together with a whisk. And this makes a very, very tasty pie filling. Okay, so that's mixed in. Add 1 can of evaporated milk, which is a 12-ounce can. And it has to be evaporated milk. So here, yummy. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Very important in fillings that are mostly sweet to add a little bit of salt. 3/4 cup of light brown sugar. 3/4 teaspoon of powdered ginger. If you'd like, you can add very, very finely chopped candied ginger too. It adds a nice flavor. 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And a teaspoon of vanilla extract, the very, very best you can find. Oh, and don't forget a little grating of one of my favorite spices, which is nutmeg. And like I don't know, 1/3 of a nutmeg. I always grind them myself, grate them myself, because they're so flavorful like that. And then stir this up, and as soon as you get all the lumps of sugar out, and it's a good idea to break up the brown sugar. If you have opened your bag and let it gotten rock hard, don't use that in your pie. You're going to be left with great big lumps of brown sugar. You can soften a box of brown sugar that you've had open with, put a piece of like a half an apple, cut apple, right into the bag, put it in a Ziploc bag, and within a matter of a day, the sugar is nice and moist again. I hope you all know that. Just another little tip. Now, oh, the crust. See, when you bake it correctly, look what happens. You have this beautiful crust, and look at the bottom, this beautiful golden brown color. That's exactly the way you want your crust, because then the crust is going to be nice and crispy instead of soggy and undercooked. It's not so nice to cut open a pie and have that soggy, uncooked crust. Pour your filling in. Your oven's preheated to 325 and bake for 50 to 55 minutes until the center of the custard is set. It can still be a tiny bit wobbly, but you don't want to have it rock hard. There. So get that cooked. This is what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. Very nice. And I've chilled it. We've whipped our meringue. This is 8 egg whites and 2 cups of sugar added slowly. And you just spoon this, as you saw on the video. But look at, it's like, this is like magic when you brown the meringue with this. There, oh, so beautiful. Isn't that great?
Beautiful.